Today is 20th of June, market opened with a gap, and after the initial volatility, it traded in tight range, eventually closed down 4 points at 3300. Our immediate support is actually at this level here, which coincides with the gap. This is at 3280. Immediate resistance is at this level here at 3324. This is quite significant. They tested on several occasions. Now, even though the retracements will accompany low volume, we certainly do not like the market to trade below 1326 SMA unless we see very strong upward move to test this resistance again. The moving average may cross down, and we may see further retracement, and it may well test this support level. So we need to be more guarded now. Now let's take a look at the US market. This is S&P 500. The trend remained very strong, and we may see further upside. Likewise for Nasdaq, see very strong upward move after this pullback, making successive high. Now, the strength of the markets are not broad-based, and this is quite evident if you take a look at the NYSE. So if you notice actually over here, after making a high, it kind of trading sideways, so it's not making any new high. So there's this divergence. Now if you take a look at the Russells, which is the small cap stock, so it's not, if you take a look, it's actually generally trading sideways, and it's not making new high, and certainly it is not at all-time high. So the strength of the markets is actually confined to the big cap stock, particularly the tech stocks. Now this is the 10-year Treasury yield. Mentioned previously that actually after this break we do expect a throwback to test this upward trend line, and this is a classic test, and we actually saw it happen, and followed by further downward move. So the yield has actually dropped quite significantly. So this usually will favor the REITs, but we do not see any strong showing in the REITs markets, and likewise for the capital intensive industry, for example semiconductor industry. Now if this is weakened further, it may actually affect the bank's margin, so this is something we need to take note of. This is chart of Brent crude. Mentioned previously that actually this is a sign of weakness, and we see a very strong downward move, test this support, and it bounced off. This is something quite unexpected. It managed to recover very quickly back to this congestion area, and never mind, it actually exceeded the resistance level, and right now approaching this gap resistance. Generally, actually, it turned out positive, because if you take a look, actually, it managed to take out the downward trend line. This is a resistance level we need to actually watch. We may expect pullback from here. If the pullback is shallow, we may see it eventually cover up this gap. Let's turn our attentions to our local market. This is Yangtze, extremely strong move here, and right now it's actually trading sideways. If you take a look at the last couple of bars, it's actually trade small body. There were several occasions of sell down, but managed to recover, rejecting the low. So we can see three of this rejection of the low, and they will attempt to move upward, and likewise we see the rejection of the high. So basically, actually, it is a state of equilibrium. So we may well just continue to trade sideways. This is generally positive if we can do so, but I would like to see a significant drop off in volume. That would be very clear. Certainly this has been a very strong move, and it is not sustaining, and it needs to actually digest this gain before it can actually stage further upward move. Now for clarity, you can take a look at the weekly charts. Notice actually it's trading very small body right now. So basically after a strong move, it is actually resting. Samudara Shipping. Stock after this move began to actually consolidate sideways. This is what I mean by actually digest the recent gain. I'd like to see whether eventually you can take out this decisively. This appeared to be one significant level tested on more occasions. So we'd like to actually see close above that. That will be generally positive, and this level here is at 103. Centurion. At this point in time, we have a small deeper setup. Bar high here is 58 cents. Mermaid trading a bearish channels. I'd like to actually see what happened. If you take a look at the bear bar itself, they are accompanied with low volume, whereas the upward move are accompanied with slightly increased volume. So this is generally positive developments, and we'd like to see eventually it take out this resistance level. Broadway. Here we have a nice breakup and experiencing a pullback on increased volume. Today is an inside bar, low volume. Again, we'd like to see what happened. At this point in time, we do have a small deeper setup. Bar high is at 191. Ball stick. After the gap up, we actually pull back. Now this gap here provides some level of support, and we see a bounce here and followed by a series of sideways bar. I'd like to actually see what happens if we can take out this decisively. This is at 103 and eventually take out this level here. This appears to be more significant at 104. So remember, this is actually part of a consolidations after this strong move. Dynamic. Stock actually today has a gap up of bullish gaps. I'd like to see eventually take this high here convincingly, and this is at 415. So remember, at this point in time, this is actually consolidating, quite evident from the crisscrossing of the moving average. And for the conservatives, it's better perhaps to wait for this to be taken out, and when it's look for the first pullback, look for the setup. Among the tech stock, Franklin is the one that actually hold up well. So after this run up, notice here we have gaps which is actually very strong, and we have also a wide range bar here on increased volume. Stock has been trading sideways. I'd like to see it take out this high here, the recent high here of 165. Now just take note, we do have a bit of resistance up front. Now, mentioned before, Valuetronic, the stocks has low liquidity, so it's perhaps better to look at the weekly. And this is what happens. We have a very strong bar, and followed by a pullback on the weekly. We have a small deeper setup. Bar high is 655. Again, we have some overhead resistance to contend with. AEM, the stocks remain weak. So after a get down, it may actually trading sideways. It probably takes some time before you actually break again on the downside. Now this gap here provides some form of resistance for any upward move. Now if you take a look at the longer time frame weekly charts, it's actually quite evident that the stocks is on the long-term downtrend, and this is just a sideways move after this very strong downward move, very much like this. Okay, so we just exercise some patience. Eventually look for it to break this low here of 178. If you take a look at a bigger picture, this is really a big distribution pattern. So it's very difficult for the stock to really recover and run. They could be sporadic upward move, but by and large, this stock is difficult to actually turn the corner. Recently, they have actually appointed a new CEO, but looking at the charts, it's not likely to turn around anytime soon.